Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about the three waves of volunteers that Dolores Canon speaks about. And in the future on Wednesday Wisdom, my colleagues and I will be talking more in depth on finishing where Dolores left off and also correcting a few things that she didn't quite have figured out. And that is in no way, shape, or form to put her down, discredit her, or badmouth her in any kind of way. My colleagues and myself included love Dolores Cannon's works. Appreciate her greatly for her trailblazing way showing efforts in putting star seeds out there in the limelight and kind of giving people an idea of what and who us light workers actually are. So we owe her a deep amount of gratitude and debt, and this is not to be taken maliciously or lightly, for that matter. I want to express that this is not to be taken lightly. Um, this is important that we have this conversation and that we clear up a few misconceptions and misunderstandings that Miss Dolores Cannon was teaching along the way. Um, the first being the three waves of volunteers. Um, so I will address that to begin with. There were more than three waves to begin with. Um, that would be the first correction to her knowledge. And again, that is in no way putting her down, because she had a limited amount of knowledge um, from the collection of data that she gathered from her specific clients. So it wasn't necessarily knowledge that was meant for Dolores to know or to share with the world, but it is my information and knowledge to share with the world. And there are many more waves than three of us. And I don't like all of the brackets that they put them in, the indigo, the rainbow, the crystal, the golden, yada, 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 because that stereotypes and boxes us in. And what you need to understand is that, yes, there are children being born into this world and have been for the last couple of generations at least, who are much more evolved and enlightened than the majority of adults that are on this planet. They are gifted. Some are autistic, others are not. They've been labeled many things: ADHD, Asperger's, etc. Have learning disabilities, whatever. And the truth of the matter is that each and every soul, young and old, that is on this planet has a gift to offer to humanity as a whole, has a gift to offer to soul growth as a collective. And so no one should be put in a box or discounted. Not that Dolores was doing that. That's just my little soapbox side disclaimer. Um, but anyway, back into speaking about what Dolores would teach. Um, I love Dolores, but I have to strongly correct her theory of Earth School, particularly, and of her understanding of karma. We originally began Earth to be a lovely place of ease, to be the Garden of Eden, um, to be the place of luxury and enjoying your flesh experience in a human form, in a physical form, because of the soul growth and ascension you had already done prior to coming to Earth. Excuse me. But it was a utopia where many different beings, including creator beings, and when I say creator beings, let's not get confused about that either, real quick. You are a creator being. I am a creator being. but they were a higher level, a more advanced, uh, wiser council of higher beings, creator beings, who were coming here. Many different groups of them would come here to enjoy this planet, to enjoy its lush vegetation and its beautiful waters and its very multifaceted environment as a whole. I mean, we have, think about it, think about how many different regions we have on this planet of different climates and different textures to the soil or the sands or um, different growth of um, the foliage. You know, we are very dynamic and um, multifaceted utopia already if you have the eyes to see it. Um, it's just that the human condition has been changed. The flesh experience that is here on this planet now is changed and altered, and I'm getting to the explanation of that. So first, some of the creator beings that were coming here to visit decided that this would be a great place to use as like a graduate school type of area for the ascended souls to come and to do more higher level ascension work in order to achieve the appreciation of the utopian uh, resorts or whatever you want to call them, right? The utopian areas. And so it became the graduate school. And then there were other beings that came here who were much more negative beings. And this was around the time of Atlantis. And I think that there are many of us from Atlantis that remembers this vividly, that we are not the ones that destroyed Atlantis. That story is not true either. Um, we were not destructive. We were not egotistical. We were not too big for our britches. Um, we weren't playing God and it backfired or karma got us, like a lot of people want to say. That's all fear to keep you from reaching your highest potential now in the Great Awakening. So let's clear that up too, because that's not a true statement or true story. Um, Atlanteans were peaceful and wise and loving and innovative and creative and in their fullest power. But many of us remember these other beings coming to Earth and knowing intuitively already that this was not going to fare well. At the very least, we were going to have to fight in order to maintain like certain areas, you know. And there was a lot of that that went on first, and then they became more, the negative entities became more greedy, um, became more wise to the laws of one, and that, you know, free will can't be um, taken. It has to be given up freely. So then they had to find creative, innovative ways to manipulate and create fear and create chaos and create control where we, the other beings, would feel submissive and give up our free will to them. Now, some of that happened through gene splicing, and scientists are now actually proving that that happened. Um, they know now that within our DNA there are sections where an upgrade or a change happened that was like slid in on the side. It wasn't a naturally evolving occurrence. It was something that was force evolved, force manipulated. It came in on the side, right? Like if you imagine a spine, right, except it's a double helix, but if you imagine a spine and then a needle was inserted into the spine and something injected and put in between two vertebrae, then there's something there in between that vertebrae that needs to be adjusted, and the spine now has to learn to work with or be manipulated by, right? So in some cases, these gene splicings were the negative beings who were tampering with our DNA to alter us, try to tweak us out enough to where we would be more fear-based. And then there were also other creator beings who were trying to do double time and undo what they had done, by doing their own side splicing and putting in upgrades into us. And it was kind of a tit for tat, pissing contest, basically. They were also manipulating ovum and sperm and creating their own version of a human being for control and manipulation. And so, long story short, over several generations, this created enough momentum to where they had gained some sense of control over the majority of the beings that were here on Earth that we call human. And so these beings, these humans, had given up their free will, in many cases had given up their rights, and so they were more and more overshadowed and overtaken. And I mean, look at history and where we are now. We keep trying to fight the tyranny, and it seems like the tyranny keeps finding some new innovative way to still keep control, right? And in the long run of all of this, that's the point of this Great Awakening. That's the point of why there are so many volunteers here right now, is to win this thing we call the Great Awakening, wake up the masses, and to win this time against that chaotic, heavy energy that now is in control of the planet for the most part, as far as society and etc. goes. But I kind of went off course here, so I'm going to go back to my notes. So just to recap a little bit, we originally began Earth as a lovely place of ease, a utopia, the Garden of Eden. Then it became more of a graduate school, as some other creator beings saw that that would be a good way for us to learn. Then the negative energies came in and manipulated that and played with that and created chaos and confusion in order to trick the beings into giving away one of their main powers, which is free will. This was so extensive that to the point that some of our elders actually retreated and left and went elsewhere because they didn't see a way to fix it. And they wanted to remain safe themselves. Now, don't look at this as they were cowardly. They really just, kind of the way you may look at someone who just keeps making the same mistake over and over and over and over, and no matter how hard you try to help them learn, they just don't get it. They just don't learn, and finally you throw your hands up and you say, you know what? I can't invest any more of my energy in this. You got to figure this out for yourself, and I'm out. Well, that's kind of how the elders did it, okay? After so many attempts of trying to get through to the people, they finally just said, look, we got to do what's best for us, and we're out. And we'll cover that in a minute with the Cathars and the different groups that were trying to hold the esoteric knowledge and teach the people and wake them up. So, okay, to the point that the elders who realized this trickery were run off, either in wars or left of their own accord after just finally saying, you know what, I've fought the good fight. It's just not working. Got to do what's best for me. So several attempts have been made to send messengers and angels to teach the beings on earth the truth so that they may regain their power and their lands. These attempts were done in vain until now, until the Great Awakening. And these attempts were waves of volunteers, messengers, angels, whatever you want to call them, that are very pivotal names within our history. Moses, Muhammad, Abraham, Noah, Jesus, right? Joan of Arc. There are several people in our history that were angels, that were messengers, trying to wake up the masses, trying to liberate us and give us back our power, our real power, that's God-given creator power. And all of them failed in their attempts because of other people, not because they didn't give the good fight, because they all damn sure did. The waves of volunteers are the messengers, the angels, etc. And there are more than 3 waves. There have been waves for eons. There have been waves for at least 10,000 years. Ever since Atlantis went under 11,000 years ago, and you know, they stayed here for a very long time trying to fight this and fix it. And the more decades and years, or decades and millenniums that passed, the worse it got. So Dolores believed that there were only 3 waves, and they were sleepers because of, and that they were sleepers. Okay, now this, we gotta take a pause in the story here to understand this too, because there is a reason that I can remember so much more than another star child may remember unless they're hypnotized. And that's because they're sleepers, okay? But why are they sleepers? There's a reason for that too. And again, that was the negative forces that did this. You would call them men in black. I vividly remember the men in black would try to find me, even as a child, a small child, to swipe my mind, to swipe my memory. Because since I have been able to speak, I have been telling my parents who I am, why I'm here, and what the hell's going to go on that we're going to call the Great Awakening. I've been blabbing it my whole life. And they wanted to shut me up. But they didn't succeed. And then I started studying in my teens and early 20s about UFOs and abductions and the men in black and what is going on with this. And military and men in black are always connected. And I'm not trying to badmouth the military either, but there are negative people within the military, and we all know that. There are bad forces and good forces, black hats and white hats. And the men in black work for the black hats. But they're not human. They are aliens. They are extraterrestrials, okay? They're human looking, perhaps, but that doesn't make them a human being. They didn't come from this planet. And they were here for one reason. And that was to swipe our memories. All starseeds, all light workers, all angels, all messengers, all volunteers, whatever you want to call us. They were here to swipe our memories. And for a lot of us, they succeeded. But what they didn't realize is that you can swipe the memory, but DNA holds memory. And they can't take that out. They haven't been able to figure out how to remove that. Our DNA is crystalline. And the more that our sun reacts to the binary star and puts off this extra solar energy, and the closer we get into the depths of the dark rift of the Milky Way at this particular time, all of the components fall into place for that solar activity to activate our crystalline DNA, and for you to remember who you are and why you're here without the help of psychedelics or meditation, or excuse me, hypnotizing you, or so on and so forth. You will start to remember who you are naturally the more that your crystals in your DNA get activated and excited from this excessive stardust, excessive solar energy that is bombarding every cell of this planet and every animal and every being on this planet at this time. It's all working in perfect conjunction together. And this is why no one can stop what's happening. And trust me, they are intelligent. And they did really think they would find some new innovative way to still keep control, just like they always have. But they can't this time. They can't. Because when you wake up, when you realize who you are is the same as who I am, and that we can all create and manifest, it's over. It's game over for them. Plus, the solar energy is hard for them to live in. The whole vampire reptilian thing, you know. But we'll get into that in a minute. Anyway, I digress again because that was necessary to say. All right, so back to my notes here. Right, the Men in Black. So similar to the way that they would wipe out the Knights Templar, the Cathars, the Rosicrucianers, etc. All others were removed or silenced. Jesus, you know, they were all removed or silenced in some fashion or another. Their method for us was they knew they couldn't necessarily kill us, so they thought they'd just mind swipe us, you know, because we came in mass this time, so that they couldn't just kill us. They can't get all of us. They wouldn't even know who all of us are to find us, to get us, right? So they can't just wipe us all out that way. They have to try to figure out who we are and swipe our mind before we get together. Because when we put our minds together, we're like them crystal skulls once they all get together. We're that powerful. We're going to be that magical. We're going to be that magnificent. So few have escaped this sinister plot of getting the mind swiping from the Men in Black. The Great Awakening is all about waking up the programmed beings by the masses of angels that are here today. Often referred to as volunteers, starseeds, light workers, etc., we are here to remind you that we are who we've been waiting for. We, collectively, are the Savior this time. Let that soak in. You walk in Jesus. You walk in Christ consciousness. We are the Christos. We are the army. And we will win back this planet's control. And we will regain that which is to be enjoyed, which is life in the flesh, as it is on other worlds that are in harmony and balance with the strongest power of all, which is the power of creation. Love. Love is the most powerful of all powers and energy. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is life contracts. Dolores didn't quite understand the contracts about coming to Earth, and so I want to address that for a moment. Life contracts do overlap, and they do need each of us, each other, to learn our lessons. However, it isn't all agreed upon. everything that you did, everything that you have experienced in this life or will experience in this life was not detailed in that contract. Um, there are no children that are being harmed in devastating, heinous ways because they signed a contract for their soul to come here for this at this time. Now, granted, this is the Matrix, and I'm sure this is in my notes somewhere, but I'm going to go ahead and cover this real quick. We are in a matrix. This is like a movie, okay? This is like a movie. And once you understand that you're not just an actor, that you're actually a director or an editor, that's when you really have the eyes to see that you can rewrite the story. You can flip the script, and we can remove all of the pain and the trauma and the turmoil that has happened thus far. And yes, that was a very valuable lesson for us to learn. And I think a lot of you understand what I'm talking about here, because you have to be careful what you say or you get censored. But the children, all of that can be removed and redone and moved forward in a more harmonious way without harm being done to people, okay? Especially innocent souls. But with that being said, yes, there are contracts that were agreed upon where we do understand the difference in the roles of victim and perpetrator. So there were things in our contract that were agreed upon, but there were other things that were not agreed upon that have been manipulated by these chaotic energies that are here, that are not divine, that are not human. They are not made from God. They're not God's spark, you know. They have sinister um, motives, and it had nothing to do with the contract that you signed. Nothing. Unless you're one of me. Unless you're a star child. Unless you're an angel, a messenger, a volunteer. This was not in your contract. Okay? We agreed to a different type of contract. We agreed to suffer more than the average human would experience so that we could understand in its depths, to its core, not only the emotions of it, but the resolution to it. So we agreed because we felt that we were strong enough and wise enough to deal with it, to live through it, understand it, dissect it, put it back together more harmoniously for all people, not ourselves, for others, to help others, is why we volunteered to go through any and all of the shit we've been through. It's in service to others, to help understand the human condition enough to teach it to you to where you can comprehend it, digest it, and then learn from it, heal from it, and move forward in your fullest power of who you truly are. Now, I offer courses and one-on-one counseling on my website to go into more detail with all of that if you're interested, and there will be links below in the description box of this video. I am not trying to plug myself so that I can make money. I am seriously, passionately, compassionately trying to educate you enough to where you can truly wake up and truly embrace who you are and what you are here for so that we can move forward victoriously and harmoniously together, because collectively we are the most incredible creators on this planet. And furthermore, with that being said, all of this matrix that you live in, that you see, this chaos that's all around you, we created that. Let's just get that clear too. We created that, because the negative energy that is here, that is manipulating our free will, they cannot create. They are not creator beings. They are tricksters. They are manipulators. They make you believe that they're more powerful than you. But really, they are beneath you. And they've tricked you into seeing it opposite, upside down, mirrored, gaslighting. They've tricked you. You are much more powerful than they are, because you created this chaos, along with me, along with everyone else. We feed into their fear. We feed into their control. We create the matrix the way we see it now. Once you realize that, we can create the matrix that we want, that we desire, that we know is in harmony and higher vibration with the divine, which is what we've all wanted to begin with. The thing here is, like Greg Braden says, it's heart-mind math. If your heart doesn't match your mind, you don't create what the heart wants. You create what the mind thinks instead. So your mind, your motherboard, has to be on board with your heart center, which is where all of creation lives and comes from. You have to be in union. Okay? So if we can see the world is like a movie, and understand that we are the directors and the editors on an individual level, we can change our own life, our own 6 degrees, our own little world. When we realize it from a bigger perspective, a bigger, more important role comes clear to us, that collectively we can change the matrix. We can change the world with our thoughts, guys. With our thoughts. We don't have to put blood, sweat, and tears into it. It can be as easy as you and I talking right now. True story. And I have tried every bit of this through the scientific methods to assure myself, before I spoke to teach, that this is accurate and true. So I assure you it is. And science is now catching up with me to prove that anyway, thankfully. Excuse me. So I'm excited for our future when we can flip the script. And whenever everybody's finally had enough and they're ready to wake up, that's when collectively we'll come together to do so. Now back to these contracts. Okay. So much like you're born into a specific sign, you're born into a specific family or a specific environment or a specific whatever scenario. Your zodiac sign that you were born into literally is like the Akashic record of all of the list of accomplishments that you have been awarded through your hard work and your labor and your learning in your soul ascension thus far. All of the lessons still left to learn are the yin principle, yin aspect of your zodiac sign that you were born into. We all have a yin and a yang. Yin being masculine, yang being feminine. So all of the things you've already learned are in the feminine category. And I'm sorry if guys don't like that. That's just the way it is. I didn't make up the rules. Okay? That's just how it is. So anyway, the masculine is a more hard-headed energy, stronger, more courageous, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't think they need to read the rules and the directions to figure out how to put the parts together that are in the bag all together. Okay? I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. So you've got strengths, you've got weaknesses, you've got gifts, you've got lessons, right? Yin and yang. And that determines what you still need to learn and what you have to offer the world in service to others. Go get in my bed. And so much like your sign that you're born under, all of them really, but the main one is the most important. You agree to these contracts. You know, I'm going to be born under this sign. I'm going to bring these gifts with me. I'm going to learn those lessons, yada, 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 yada. Right? That part is all planned out. Okay, so not everything that happens to you is agreed upon, nor is it something that you volunteered for. I can't even read my own writing. It is all for soul growth. Everything is a lesson and a blessing in disguise. Everything. But some of it was put upon us, again, I want to reiterate this, by the evil, manipulating bastards that we call negative energy. Okay? They're tricksters. They're reptilians. They're vampires. They're draconian. These are real things. These are real entities, real beings. It's not bullshit. It's very, very real. The NSA has a list of 57 known species and subspecies and their categories of friend or foe. And I assure you, I have seen it with my own eyes. And vampires and reptilians and draconians are on that list as foe. I assure you, the 13 families are of these bloodlines. I assure you. The Rothschilds, the Clintons, the Queen. Matter of fact, she's the granddaughter. Granddaughter? I think she's the granddaughter of Vlad the Impaler, who is what? Dracula. Right? I mean, come on. These stories were not fairy tales. These stories were not just for fear and entertainment. They were telling you truth, because that's part of the laws of one as well. They cannot just blatantly lie to you. There has to be an ounce of truth to it. They have to take the truth and put it out there, and then they can put all kinds of other bullshit all the way around it. But that seed of truth, that mustard seed, has to be there. That's why the mustard seed is so important. In Christian religion, it's the ounce of truth. It's the grain of truth, the mustard seed. You have to be able to have the eyes to see the mustard seed in the story, or in the song, or in whatever. They have to put it there. In the symbolism, even. You know? They've hijacked our sacred symbols and turned them into bastardized definitions. And they're real. They're very, very real. So let that sink in. Why do you think we have things like Adreno with that chrome put together stuff? You know? Why do you think that's something that they would want? We don't want it. We're opposed to it. Because we're not cannibals. We're not bloodthirsty. So think about that, okay? That's not bullshit tales and stories. That's real. That's what we're up against here, is that real shit. And so it's time for everybody just effing wake up and realize really who you are, so that we can say enough is enough and we can end this and change this matrix and flip this script back on them where they damn deserve it, and take back our freaking world and our freaking peace and harmony. Right? Yes, I'm a little ticked off about it. I went through a lot of shit to be here, and I wouldn't change a thing unless you all don't wake up to your fullest power, and we have to do this on our own. And then I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be real damn mad. We're still going to all win, and you'll just have to thank us later. But I would much rather you realize your power instead of me having to be the one to save you. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you rather feel like you're like a X-Man or Superman? Wouldn't you rather be the hero in the story than to be the damsel in distress or the dude that had to be saved? I know you would. There's real hope for humanity. Alright, I digress again. Moving on. Um, so they've tricked us into giving up our free will. They've lied to us with their grain of truth and a bunch of bullshit piled on top of it that we fell for and we believed. They've messed with our DNA. They've created hybrids to assist in that, follow the leader mentality that we have, that monkey see, monkey do mentality that we have. So, and they're a bunch of soulless people, these evil manipulators. So they damaged us. To keep us under their thumb so that they can continue to have the upper hand here. So now extra karma was put on you rather than just your regular soul karma for these things that these patterns you would fall into and go with the flow, so to speak, and act like the other people do, dog eat dog world kind of mentality. Extra karma was put on you that your soul contract didn't bargain for. Okay. Excuse me. So that's going to require more healing, more soul growth, etc. In order to get past that, it doesn't mean that all hope is lost. It's just going to take you longer to level up and gives them a little extra time to use you further. So, we're not going to allow them to continue to keep the upper hand and relish in their lifestyles while the masses suffer. We're not going to allow that to continue. I am a volunteer, a messenger, an angel. I am one of many that can lead you home. Truly. That is why that's my slogan on my website. I am the beacon that can lead you home. Honestly, I remember who we are. I remember why we're here. I can fill in the blanks that Dolores Canon couldn't figure out. I am the beacon that can lead you home. I am that light at the end of the tunnel to show you the way. To be the way shower that you need. To wake up to your fullest potential. And I gladly hold that torch for you until you're ready to take it yourself. I do that gladly. But dear God, I wish you all would wake up a little quicker here. I mean, you're doing good. You're waking up. You're realizing the lies and the theft and the cheating and all that stuff all around us and the sinister plots of the underworld, so to speak, things that are happening. But you're still not really getting at how powerful you are. You're not getting that part of it. You're not seeing yourself as worthy to be in the same status as Jesus. And that's the part that needs to change. And that is no disrespect to Jesus. That is no disrespect to God. Jesus said himself, I am no more the Son of God than you. And that you can go forth and do the same great works that I do. All you have to do is believe. All you have to do is believe. And I am ready to teach you. I am ready to pass that torch to you. All it takes is a spark for us to light this world up. Let's make it shine. I want to make it shine. So if you will allow me to be the way shower that you've always known exists, the elusive unicorn, if you will, that can lead the way to real life, to real joy, to real freedom. Are you ready to be liberated? I am. Okay, so there was something else I wanted to cover about contracts too. I'm going to back up just a smidge here. Right. The contracts thing. Okay, so yeah. There are contracts. We've all made them. The only difference between you and me is, or well, I should say between light workers and other human beings, is that we had already learned these lessons once before and passed these tests, but we agreed to come back and do this all over again to help save humanity, to help save the planet, to help save the animals, to help save the plants, to help save everything. Because we can see into the future, and the future didn't look so bright with the way they were headed with things. And their ultimate goal was to have you so bombarded with chaos and worry and fear and turmoil. By the time the Great Awakening solar event happened, you would simply be scared to death of it. And all of your intuition and psychic abilities that would suddenly be coming online would freak you out, and you wouldn't know what to do with them, and you would go mad, and you would attack each other, or hurt yourself, or just kill yourself to get it over with. And everybody would be in complete chaos at that point. Like utter, complete chaos. So we were funneling down to 2 timelines, all of the timelines collapsing until we got to 2. And then there's the decision to be made. Do you wake up and take back control of your soul, your life experience, and this planet? Or do you continue to allow yourselves to be manipulated and we all go into turmoil? The good news is that there were enough volunteers who came here in enough time to wake up enough people to make enough of a difference in the balance of that choice to where the timeline that we are collapsing down to now is the one where we win. Let that soak in a minute. Because even in my lifetime, this time, there have been times I wasn't sure we would make it there. There were times that I felt a sense of hopelessness for humanity and the planet at large. I'm so pleased every day to see all of the ways that I am wrong in my negative thinking. I might be one of the very few people on this planet who very greatly enjoy being proven wrong. It's time for us to pick the locks that shackle us and truly free ourselves once and for all. As I said in the beginning of this video, I will be bringing this topic up on Wednesday Wisdom with my collaborators as we move forward. Starting this coming Wednesday, the 10th of November, Wednesday Wisdom will be returning. So stay tuned. We'll see you then. In love and light. Many blessings to all of you. We'll talk soon.